The city of El Paso, Texas is probably gonna have to deal with some serious financial instability, maybe a financial downfall, considering the fact that Donald Trump owes them about $470,000 due to a rally that he held in El Paso and never paid for. Now, why would he have to pay for the rally? Of course, there are security concerns, which the city provides. There are transportation concerns, which the city provides. And so the whole point is that the various campaigns that might be doing rallies there will pay the city back. Now, on the same day that Trump had his rally, Beto O'Rourke had his counter rally, and Beto O'Rourke has actually paid the money back already, but Donald Trump has received a notice from El Paso indicating that he needs to pay up soon or he might face some additional penalties. According to USA Today, while O'Rourke has covered costs from his counter rally, the city is still waiting for the White House to pay up. The Trump campaign remains quiet on when it intends to pay the city of El Paso. So there's been no word on if or when the campaign plans on paying back. Now, I want to read from the actual letter that was sent to Donald Trump's campaign. It said, quote, "We are contacting you regarding the past due invoices listed above. We realize this may have been an oversight on your part. However, your account with the city of El Paso is extremely past due. Further, the city may choose to not enter into a contract with an individual that is indebted to the city for more than $100. So a little threat there. A little benefit of the doubt and a little threat there, which I like.
Yeah, it sounds like it's one of those late notices you get. I have an alarm system at my house, and if the alarm goes off and the cops show up, you got to pay a little fee every time the cops come. Did you know this?
Yeah.
You know this, right? So I do my best to pay the cops the fee. So when I see campaigns like this at $470,000 and they're not paying it, and what's interesting is obviously it's not like Trump sitting there opening up bills and going like, oh, I'm late on my rally bill.
Right.
But it seems like he's notorious for being cheap and not paying stuff. It seems like his whole campaign is, and the people that work for him, because there's got to be somebody there who is in charge of paying for the rallies, and they didn't pay for the rally.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think a lot of Americans realize that on some level, Donald Trump is immoral. But I think the real point here, or at least amoral, lacking any sense of morality. But I think the real point is that on almost every single economic level, the guy is a failure, right?
Yeah.
His business is a failure. His taxes are a failure, and the fact that he can't even reveal them speaks to the fact that they're a failure, and that he can't even pay back a city and its workers also, right? This is paying workers who worked on this rally.
So now there's talk of how they can recoup the money in other ways, because I mean, that's a pretty giant sum of money for a city, right? I mean, it's not a small sum of money. And so they're thinking about moving some things around and making do until they hopefully will get the money from Trump. But again, he hasn't really responded to any of the requests for comment from the media. He hasn't responded to the notice that was sent from the city of El Paso. And I also want to note that when this rally took place in February, he, of course, as he always does, caused a lot of chaos because during the rally, he said some things about El Paso that simply were not true. And the next video is going to help you kind of see the difference between his rally and Beto O'Rourke's rally and some of the lies that Trump spread. Take a look.
The president repeating the false claim that crime dropped in El Paso after the border wall went up.
I spoke to people that have been here a long time. They said when that wall went up, it's a whole different ball game. Is that a correct statement? Whole different ball game. Went way, way down.
But the reality is, crime in El Paso dropped long before the wall. The claim enraging many, from O'Rourke.
El Paso has been the safest city in the United States of America, not in spite of the fact that we're a city of immigrants, but because we are a city of immigrants.
To El Paso's Republican mayor.
What is the message from El Paso to President Trump?
We need to control our borders, but there are other ways to do it besides just focusing on that single physical barrier.
So the mayor of El Paso also did, a little media tour to talk about what the reality is for El Paso, and he's said over and over again, and I think it's politicians actually on both sides who have said this over and over again. It's not just about a wall, right? The wall isn't going to solve the problems that we're facing right now, and for him to put all of his eggs in that basket and then completely defame the city as like this crime-ridden place it's incredibly insulting. So there was that controversy, and then you add a massive amount of money that Trump owes them, and it's just insult to injury.
If he were gonna be honest in that rally, he should have said, we don't have money to pay for the wall, and I don't have money to pay for this rally. So enjoy it, keep cheering, good luck to you, Trump out. I mean, but also in that article, by the way, it indicated that other campaigns had also not paid for other, right? It was saying during the elections, it said towards the end, it said that there was, just in fairness, it had said various cities called on Trump and current Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders and former president candidate Hillary Clinton to pay some bills for rallies during the 2016 election cycle. So it seems like it's probably more common than we think, but when it's coming from the Trump and him and his campaign, it's just, the guy is just, I mean, he emanates cheapness.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, one of my favorite quotes coming from Roger Stone of all people was when, the whole Russia investigation was happening and there was question about whether or not there was payment to the Russians to help Trump for one reason or the other. I don't remember the specific details. The important part was the response from Roger Stone, which was Trump doesn't pay for anything.
There you go.
Right?
I mean, imagine being someone who is essentially finds everybody around him objectionable, scared of everybody,
right?
Just want to protect my family, want to protect my business, but claims to protect the United States. But in this very context where he's on the border making a case for Americans, and painting, the other side of the border in negative terms, for him to not even take care of the Americans that are part of his rally on the border shows that he actually doesn't care about the people on the border.
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention that's kind of related to what you're saying is for someone who ran on this idea of protecting the American worker, he's shown us over and over again that he has no respect for the American worker. I mean, he certainly doesn't when it comes to trade policies. He doesn't have any compassion for American consumers who are suffering from his nonsensical trade policies. Then you have the issue of him doing this global tour, discouraging other countries from doing any business from AT&T because he doesn't like AT&T and how it's a conglomerate that contains media organizations that criticize him. I mean, it's absurd.
It's crazy that this guy, from day one, his father was paying for him. So he's never been somebody who's been paying for anything, it seems like. He seems like he's been cheap his whole life. And then it's crazy that there are people around him that will make excuses for him.
All the time.
As opposed to saying, look, the guy's cheap, let's move on. I mean, that's his characteristic. Let's move on. He doesn't want to pay for the rally. By the way, he should start charging for the rallies. Maybe he can but then maybe less people would come. So I don't know.
I mean, the one area where you give Trump credit is he gave voice rhetorically to the anger that people felt at being ripped off by this larger kind of neoliberal system that we're all embedded within. But he actually is a contradiction of all of it. He's the ultimate hypocrite. He exploited it.
Yeah, he exploited it. It was a disingenuous way of reaching out to voters, and he hoodwinked them. The thing that's most frustrating is that his base doesn't realize that they've been hoodwinked, even after all of this, which
I feel like
is what it is.
I feel like he's the kind of guy that if you went to dinner with, you'd be like, oh, he's a billionaire, he's gonna pick up the bill. But he wouldn't. He'd kind of walk out, and you'd be like, where did Donald go? And you'd be like, I don't know, you left.
No, he's the kind of guy where the bill will come and it'll just sit there, and you'll just be like,
yeah, are we gonna do this?
Are we at least? Maybe you'll put your credit card down, thinking, all right, fine, maybe we're gonna split it.
Yeah.
Didn't he pick up the McDonald's when he had the teams coming over to the White House? I think he only paid for the McDonald's.
Yeah, and he was showing off. He was bragging about it. He got a Happy Meals.
Happy Meals, exactly.
Yeah. Oh God.
So crazy.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.